find something that would be a game of chance. And my headset just got smoked again. So we reconnect it. Give me that connect. Give me that connect, please. Not that I'm really...
Yeah, I love that point thing too, Sean. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah. It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't have these dark sides, these shadow sides, there's no world.
Yeah.
There's no challenge. It's like your hard mode thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
With that game, and you realize, I have a shit ton of fun with the hardcore mode. It's like, yeah, because it's that shadow side, the playful side, you could call it, because you could look at anything through like a dim lens or like a more neutral lens or a positive lens, and there's a million ways to do that. But essentially, most of language is like judgment. Is like, you say, oh, they're doing their best, or
right.
Or whatever. It's like their judgment words. But yeah, if you observe your psyche neutrally, you'll see that we're all hardcore gamblers, I think.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the ego is always seeking an identity, so it tends to be something that either you're neutral at or better, or you learn the most skillful tactic in this matrix, which is you learn to surrender,
The only way to win is to not play.
Exactly, but the fighters, they cause themselves suffering because they want to get in and play, and it kind of reminds me of the quote, "Congratulations on being a cool kid in high school. Sorry the rest of your life sucked, though."
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll tell you.
Like it shows you.
Oh, I was gonna say, back on this topic though of the way to win is to not play. On my way home, I got a snap from one of my friends, and he was actually in a casino, and I don't think he's really goes to casinos like that. It might even be his first time in one, and he just snaps the board that he's on. I have no idea what game he's playing. He's like, all right, bro, I've just lost most of my money, and I don't know what to do, so I need some advice. So I don't even wait till I park the car. I just immediately start snapping him in the car, and I'm like, what you need to understand is that these operate on the 70-30 rule, and the house wins 70% when the people win 30%. And you're actually statistically doomed to lose. So in your present situation, the only way to win is to not play. That's my advice. And I just left it like that, sent it to him, and he was just like, thanks, bro. Just carry on, right? Just passing it along. I'm like, can't help with everything, but I actually have the counter spell for that. And so, time was of the essence, so we just shot it over to him.
It's cool that you bring that up, the counter spell, because it's in life, don't we often have the proper counter spell?
Yes.
But we don't always play it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just I'm just going to save this for a rainy day, and it's the rainy day is right now.
Exactly.
Spend the mana, play the card, move on with your day. Alright, so we threw all this concentrate with the logs into the smelters. For some reason I grabbed more wood. I don't know. Oh, I grabbed enough wood to do all of it. Okay. We're in good shape. We're only 2 hours in on this stream, and we haven't even finished turning ore into bars. It's fine.
Having too good a time.
No, I mean, I'm actually playing pretty close to optimally. That's just how long this game takes to make anything. If you're gonna start from mining to actually making a piece of armor, it would probably take half a day. Yeah.
Crazy.
So crazy. But, you know, I need that because if it wasn't that way, I wouldn't have the downtime to, you know, be open for the conversation because I'd probably do something like a little more engaging. And also, I would also give up on it after some number of couple of months or something, you know? So I actually like need it to be like dumb slow because it's fulfilling a role. It's not like, you know, back to like where we are but at a pizza place. Like I'm starting to realize I'm like, yeah, there's an aspect of me that like likes to collect because I just kind of enjoy like the whole art form of it. But then like there's also like the player side of me that's like I have to play this so I can finish this, so I can play this, so I can finish this and play this. When like that's not really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to like pass the time and then also like entertain yourself. So really, if you can entertain yourself with the same game, you're actually just winning. What is this? I don't want to projects. Why am I on pyrolite ore? Like what? Doesn't make any sense. Sure, I guess I'm what helping these people with this. I don't remember banging pyrolite ore. I guess we'll just help someone with this craft since we're waiting for the smelters. I guess they just added a new feature into the game where you can help people with the craft. So we'll help them. You still get XP, but like you just finish their stuff, you know, faster.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
They don't even have to ask for help. We'll just give them some help. Crafting assistance, you both hit it at the same time, both get XP. All right. So it's 9 p.m. I got one more, a little less than 1 hour left before I have to go to bed. Let's see. We can probably hit at least one more. Oh, this one's kind of funny, and it also is kind of similar of talking about how similar to like the market in Boston being a real thing. This is like also was like a big rude awakening of something that's real. I've got a story that is kind of like a two-banger. It's called Sammy's Satanic Altar and Train Spotting. I might have told you this one before, Drew. You remember when I came across a real satanic altar?
Yeah.
Yep. But I'll tell this one for Chili and whoever else. I don't know if James is still on, but so once upon a time, uh, this girl invited me over to her house, and she was like way out in Chester, kind of in the boonies. And I go to her house. I'll try and keep it somewhat brief, but I go over to her house, and she's giving me the tour. I think she lived in her parents' house, but she's home alone. And she takes me down in the basement, and there's literally a bloody pentagram. It's a dirt floor basement, like old timey, and there's a bloody pentagram, um, and there's a dead chicken in the middle of it. And then behind that, there's like this altar with like candles and idols and all kinds of other things I really don't understand. And I'm just kind of speechless. It's like, presumably going, maybe not hooking up with this girl, and then she just drops a satanic altar on me as like a vibe check. And so you want to. I'm like kind of terrified, but I also kind of want to pass the vibe check. Like I don't want to take part in the ritual, but I'm kind of just acting like I'm unfazed by it. And so I think we're done helping that person out. We're gonna go clap on these. Oh, I have to get 1 second. I'll continue on with the altar. I just have to buy some flux. So if you're ever crafting and you're above, you're like what is it, tier 4? Tier 3? Maybe tier 3? Can't remember if it's 3 or 4. Chili, you remember? Either way, I have 4, so I need to buy flux from this guy to finish the bar. So we're just gonna buy some flux, and we're making like 60 bars. I don't know. I'll buy 100 flux, whatever. Well, if I don't use it now, I'll use it later. So we're just gonna go bang these bars. So we can go back to the story. There's all this stuff to. Oh, help others. Okay, I see. I see. So it puts it in a different section, helping others. Gotcha, gotcha. I want to make my own stuff now. Oh wow, 100 flux wasn't even enough to do all of them. Let's get 20 more. We'll get 20 more. Real quick, like we're just gonna grab 20 more. Happy little mistakes, like Bob Ross. And we go and we're doing a Bob Ross painting with an MMO here. We're just gonna crank these out, and I lost power on my headset. We'll just go ahead and reset that. Connect, please. Alright, I can hear myself clapping. Alright. So, there I was in the dirt floor basement, staring at Sammy's satanic altar, and she's playing it off like it's not a big deal, but it's also very obviously a vibe check. And when I kind of move past that, whatever, we hang out. I think I was trying to play it cool, but I was a little too stricken to advance any further than that. So I kind of get the tour, we chit chat for a little while. One of her friends comes over, I think she cooks something. It's all kind of boring, but here's the second part of this, is that I get in my car and I'm going home, and there's train tracks somewhere in Chester, and I see the red light flashing, but I don't see the train because there's buildings to the left and to the right of this crossing. Normally there's a wide open space with railroad crossings, at least as far as what I've seen. Maybe not in cities, but like. So normally what I'm used to is when the red light's flashing, the gate comes down. Hardest diss I've ever heard was even Bob Ross wouldn't call you a happy accident. That does go pretty hard. Pretty rough. So I'm expecting if the red light is going to flash and there is a train that is incoming, they should put down a guardrail. So I see no guardrail, so I'm like, oh, maybe it's pretty far out. I can just go across the tracks, no big deal. Do not ever do that. That's not a good idea. As I'm crossing the train tracks, imagine building on my left, big building on my right. As I'm crossing the track, I can now see to the left and to the right, down the track, far north, far south. And I look to my right, I don't see anything, and I look to my left. I'm crossing this whole time. And as I look to the left, there's a speeding train that gets on its horn at me because it's right about to hit me. And I remember there being like a split-second decision of like, do you hit the brakes or do you hit the gas? And I just figured, well, if you're close enough to the tracks to look and see beyond the building, it's probably too late to hit the brakes. So I stamp my foot on the gas, and I just barely make it over the tracks, and the train whizzes by, and it was so close to hitting my rear bumper that the wind resistance coming off of the train propelled my car forward like a mushroom boost in Mario Kart. It was my car was not fast. It was very slow. But when this train whizzed by it slingshotted my car forward. Luckily, there was no traffic. I was like the only car on the road, but it just like boosted me forward like I hit like the NOS button. So that's the train spotting part. I didn't spot the train until the last second, and I narrowly avoided getting absolutely smoked. Yep. And I'll tell you this. It was on that day that I understood the condition of someone that could find themselves being or identify with being an adrenaline junkie, because the adrenaline that I got from almost being pulverized by a locomotive lasted with me for, I would say, at least 6 hours. It was like the best drug experience ever. I mean, obviously, throughout different points in life, I've had shots of adrenaline, but nothing compares to that one because that's probably, like the biggest thing that's ever swung at me, per se. I mean, not intentionally, but you know what I mean. Like, train would be like a 2020 green creature just swinging at me, and I was just like, nope, dodged. And I was high off of it until I went to bed, until it wore off late in the evening.
Yeah, that creature definitely has trample.
Definitely has trample, yes. 100% a metallic worm 2020 with trample. So, but luckily, the historical data shows that I don't deal a lot of damage, but like my dodge rate is basically capped because I have dodged 100% of everything, actually. So that's why I've concluded that I definitely play rogue, since I've been, but like I'm like a chaotic good sometimes to chaotic neutral sort of rogue. Certainly not an eat. Well, no one likes to think so, but maybe at different points I could have. Depends on the situation, but I think that mostly on average I was somewhere between neutral and good. But for sure a rogue, because I was just I'm just like dexterity dodge capped, and then not tons of other stats, but it's fun to entertain what your D&D sheet might look like. It's definitely easier to kind of extrapolate it the older you get.
Yeah.
It's not something it's not a thought I would have ever entertained when I was younger at all. I had no clue. Like in like the eyes of the teenager, you're like, well, I'm probably just like kind of maxed on everything. I'm strong, I'm fast, I'm tough, I'm smart, I'm everything.
Yeah.
Or maybe on an insecure day, I'm actually nothing. And so like it's really hard to be sober about what the stats actually are. Like you need data points on the graph to like tell you, because we're not a reliable narrator.
Absolutely, and also it's kind of like the fish not knowing what water is too.
Yep.
You're always in your character D&D sheet, so you
Yep.
can't see it,
Right. Am I really about to buy some tier 4 fish so I don't have to go back to town? Probably. Just 2 pieces. 2 pieces will get us another hour of play, and then I can go to bed. So let's see what we got going on here. We were making the bars. Alright. That's not too long. Yeah, I think I've been kind of loosely timing each one of these because I'm, part of my quality control is I'm trying to make sure that the short stories are actually kind of short. I want them to tell like the full story and like get the environment and get the feeling and everything along with the main points, but I also really don't want them to go too far past 15 minutes. And we're kind of on track. So I've told you probably at least 80% of the stories on here, but I'm trying to see if I can snipe one that you haven't heard. It's Trixie.
Yeah, I'm good to hear him again though, because
Right. It's kind of like it's kind of like reruns of Seinfeld. They're good 10 years later, right? Like you kind of remember it, but yeah, it's a different lens. Um, Here's another one about crazy evasion. I've got one called Raid 00. So I don't know the exact number of times I've been raided by the police, but every attempt, for one reason or another, has always been unsuccessful. Hasn't happened in well over a decade, but there was a time when a raid was a semi-regular occurrence. And on this particular time, again, I was probably about 21, and I was in my, notorious apartment, and I'm having a booze party, and there was a lot of people there, at least a lot for a small apartment, probably like 20 something. And this one particular girl was kind of notorious. Her nickname, I don't even know her real name. I kind of just remember nicknames. And like her nickname was Felter Snatch. And she was kind of like a notorious character. And she was pretty small. And at this point in time, I was a pretty heavy drinker. Like I had a very high tolerance, very high metabolism. And she challenged me to basically a drinking contest. And I said, there is no possible way that I was like, you're too small. And also I was like, I don't think you have enough money to even like, have the consumption to keep up with me. Like, because those are kind of the two main considerations. I mean, there's other ones, but it's like size and like regular consumption equals tolerance. But she thinks she's going to do it anyway. And I swear, the number, because we were counting, we were on 8 beers, which I'm just getting started in my night. But, like, to a small girl, small young woman, we'll say, as a young woman, um, 8 beers should be a lot. And I get a knock at the door, and I'm like, well, oh shit, right? Because some people, I was 21, I bought the beer, whatever, but like some of my friends were probably 20, some of them were 19, maybe someone was 18. I can't remember exactly what everyone was, but there was at least more than a few that were under 21. And I'm like, all right, well, this is it. I'm caught red-handed. There's nothing. I had a good run. I guess it's time to face the music. And they come in and they said, so this is what we're going to do. We think that there's underage people. Everyone was playing their part. They did not want to show their IDs or anything. But they said, we're pretty sure, it looks like a young crowd. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to pick somebody and give them a breathalyzer. And they decided to pick Felter Snatch because she was the smallest human in the room. And I'm like, of course, they would pick like the notorious punk that is trying to outdrink me. I'm for sure dead in the water. So they give her the breathalyzer. She doesn't say a damn word. Not a single word. Takes it like a champ. Blows into it. They don't even say the thing that they normally say, like, oh, do it again. You didn't blow enough air. She just fucking one-shots it. And he sees, he's like, 00. He's like, well, that can't be right. And he's like, let me get another one. He just gets a completely different machine, a completely different nozzle, sets it all up, gives it to her again, and she blows into it. 00. And he was like, well, I guess you were right. He's like, you guys have a nice night. And they swiftly left my house. And we didn't say a fucking word until we looked out the window and saw them leave. And I just turned to her and I said, how did you do that? She said, do what? I said, how did you blow 2 zeros on 2 separate breathalyzer mechanisms? And she goes, I have no idea. I wasn't trying to do. She's like, I was sure that she had some kind of trick pulled up her sleeve. Like she was doing a magician trick. And no. Actually, just rolled a critical on luck. Like I said, better to have luck than skill. I don't even know what kind of skill that you could develop to blow zeros consistently on a breathalyzer. Like what skill is that? How do you do that? I can't even fathom it. And she also just very bluntly said there is no, like, there was no trick. I haven't, she's like, I'm just as surprised as you are. So the evasion is actually absurd. That being said, that being said, I the next thought is, you know, they would be like, well, then why don't you just do whatever you want? And it's like, well, that's a dark road to, it's and a slippery slope to go down. Because pride comes before the fall. As soon as you think that like you're playing the game on cheat codes, like that's when you're gonna get wrecked.
100%.
So, yes, the historical data shows like an absurdly unrealistic amount of evasion over the course of all of these events, but the fact still remains that it did happen that way, and I still remain cautious.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And when people tell their sob stories, they conveniently leave out all the times they were driving drunk, for instance, before they get caught. You know,
Right, right,
like it's all in how you tell the story.
right.
And
I'm trying to keep the big picture involved because, yeah, if you talk about one day or 1 hour in a vacuum, it really doesn't tell the whole story.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. We conveniently leave out the parts that we don't want to be honest about with ourselves.
Right. We almost have a batch of bars done. Almost a batch of bars. Which will turn into gold, which will turn into something else. And so the cycle continues.
Nice.
I might take a break actually from banging on bars. Let me see if I can help these people out again. No help, others open. What about over here? Sure, look, this guy's got a 67,000 point craft. That means he probably has at least 30 minutes ahead of him. But I'm just gonna help him out. Wait, non-claim members can only have one ongoing craft in a building. Oh, you can't help if you're already working on something. That's unfortunate. We tried. But,
Yeah.
alright. So that was a story about uncanny dodge. Oh, that's a fun. I got a decent one from Lyndon. You want me to read? I can retell the story of. This one's called the test prank. You remember this one? Where I did this like elaborate Black Ops scheme with Mun.
Maybe. It doesn't sound familiar, but
I can't give away too much, or I'll spoil the whole thing. Yeah, it's not too long of one, but this kind of goes. This is kind of an example. I was probably like 17, and this is like an example of me being like the Rory from the Gigaskunk story, where I was willing to like brave the depths of the dungeon to prove a point, which is really like vanity, pure and simple, right? So I'll paint the picture. We're in the dining hall for dinner, and this girl, Tess, is talking about how she's going to fly to Germany for a choir trip. And she is talking about how she is going to wake up at some ridiculous hour, like 3 or 4 in the morning, to get ready. And so I kind of jump in and I'm like, well, what time is the bus leaving for the airport? She's like, something more reasonable, like 7:30, right? And I said, so why the hell do you need to wake up at 3, spend 4.5 hours getting ready for this bus ride when you're just going to be sitting on a plane? Like, I said, that's unreasonable, right? And she goes, no, it's not. You know, you gotta. She's flexing about how she's like, I'm gonna do hair and makeup and nails and that. And I'm like, well, like, do you have to pack? Like, is packing being? Because I was like, maybe if you have to pack, that makes sense. She's like, no, I've been packed for days. It's just getting ready. I'm like, so she's just flexing. Like, I'm gonna spend like 4+ hours getting ready to, like, you know, peacock around an airport. And I just think that this is so stupid. But I can't let it go. It's like now I'm trying to prove it to her, but I'm also trying to prove it to like everybody at this table, which is probably like 20 or 30 people. And I can kind of tell by their like body language that they're like more on her side of this. Like I'm the one that's, you know, being ridiculous. But I'm like, no, logically speaking, I was like, you really don't need more than an hour to get ready for a bus ride if you're already packed. And we just go on and on arguing. So after we leave, I'm talking about it with Mun. And I don't remember if it was his idea or my idea. Who cares? But the point is, he was like, you know, you could just prove it, right? Whether it was me or him. You could just prove it. How? Well, you could sneak into her room and change the alarm clock to 1 hour before departure. And then when she wakes up, she'll be like, oh, I only have an hour. I guess I'll just get ready, you know, more normally, and I'll get on the bus. And then basically she'll lose the argument. But here's the tricky part, right? Because the girls live in a girls' dormitory, and there's no boys allowed in the girls' dormitory, so how are you going to get in without a key? So we decide... Really, I was the only one that was actually going to carry this plan out. I think Mun was just kind of helping with the brainstorming of the logistics. But we decided that the best way to do it was to wait for nighttime, presumably, you know, after she goes to sleep, and hide behind a bush that was settled right by the porch. And wait for some girls to open the door, because we noticed that the front door had like one of those slow closing mechanisms. And we wait for the door to close slowly. And then we're going to help someone with a craft. We're going to just help this guy out that's on 67. That's going to take forever. So I'm waiting in this bush. I mean, it must have been over an hour. And then some Asian girls come back from shopping at White's Grocery, and they open the door, and they're chit-chatting, whatever, and the door just begins to slowly close, like slow as death, right? But I still have to get out of the bush, jump up onto the porch, and I can see the door is like inches away from closing, and I shove my hand in like a knife, and I pinch my fingers, stopping the door. That's how close it was. I pinched the shit out of my fingers, but I can't make a sound because I'm trying to be covert. And I open the door, and I quietly go up to the second floor, and then I hear the Asian girls chatting in the kitchen, putting their groceries away, and one of them, I can hear them stepping out of the kitchen, and I have to think fast, and I have to open this broom closet and slip into the broom closet so that she'll pass by. She goes into her room. I made the assumption that she was just going into her room to like grab her phone or something, and I was right. I'm listening from inside the closet. She goes like into her room, grabs something, comes out of her room, goes back to the kitchen, and I'm like, okay, now they're preoccupied with the kitchen. I open the broom closet, and I have to make my way up to the third floor. And I had never been in this building before in my life, but I had to just guess what room it was based off of, like, I knew where her window was, you know, because she was always, like, yelling outside of her window, whatever. So I go to reach for the door handle, and I'm like, well, what if she just locked her door? Like, I locked my door every night because dudes would just prank you if you didn't, right? And so I go to reach it, and in my mind, I'm like, this door is definitely going to be locked, and then I'm going to have to abort the mission. And I turn the knob, and in that moment, I was like, oh, it's open. girls' dorms are way different than guys' dorms. Like, no guy would sleep with the door unlocked. That's stupid, stupid. But girls don't really prank like that. Specifically, probably not like the Asian girls, because they were all kind of reserved and affluent. So anyway, I'm inside the room, and as I cross the threshold, you would think that I would be relieved because I've made it to my target without being detected, but now there's this thought that invades my mind that, like, this looks way worse than what it is that I'm actually doing, because remember, I'm just trying to change the alarm clock. There's nothing, like, I'm just trying to win an argument. But now, I'm a dude in a girl's room while she's sleeping. Like, this is not, like, if I was to be seen at this point, it'd be a really tough defense, right?
Yeah.
So now I have this, like, wave of anxiety washing over me as I'm like, this looks like something that it's not. And so I was like, well, just, stay on target, walk up to the alarm clock, and just get it over with. So I walk up to it, and I swear it feels felt like diffusing a bomb in a hairy situation. Like, I got like beads of sweat running down my head. It's pitch black. The girl is fast asleep, but I have to be quiet. And I'm also like, I can't really like use too much light because I'll wake her up. But I had like this, the little clamshell phones that just had backlighting. They didn't have flashlighting. So I'm sitting there with my face like an inch away from the alarm clock trying to read it, because everyone's alarm clock works a little bit different. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out her alarm clock with a backlit clamshell phone, just sweating bullets all over this thing. And finally I figure out how to adjust it so that she will wake up at 6 a.m. Or we'll say whatever was an hour before departure. And everything works. We ran out of energy. We'll just wait for that to regen. Everything works, but now I'm like, oh shit. The next thought is, you made it in to the 3rd floor, but now you have to make it all the way out without being seen. And it kind of played out very similar. I was like, well, the halfway point is the broom closet. If I just listen by the door and then just kind of Frogger make a mad dash for the broom closet, that works. Some more girls walk by. Maybe they're going to the bathroom. Maybe they're going to the living room. And luckily, they were all very loud chatters, especially like in their domicile. So you could hear them before they would even open the door. You could hear their footsteps. Like when you have the adrenaline rush, your senses get kind of heightened too. So when you're just kind of sitting there like in a dark closet, it's like you can really just like hear the shit out of like everything in the building. And I just waited for my moment. I escaped the broom closet, got out onto the porch, ran over to my bush, and where Mun was sitting, and he's just like kind of like surprised that no one's shrieking or whatever. He's like, wait, did you actually do it? Because I guess I did it kind of fast. It didn't feel like it was fast. He was like, that was really fast. And I was like, it didn't feel fast. Maybe time was slowing down or something, but it felt like quite the ordeal, like going into the dungeon and out of the dungeon with no detection. And I was like, yeah, no, I for sure changed it to 6 a.m. So then we go back. Let's fast forward to the next morning. And I don't have an alarm set on the weekend. I would never do that unless there's a good reason. And I wake up to the sound of a blood-curdling shriek from across the green. And it's Tess waking up at 6 a.m. and she's shrieking. Absolutely like a banshee, like she's getting stabbed to death, right? And I was like, well, I look at the time, it's 6 a.m. on the dot. I was like, well, I guess it worked, and in my mind, I'm logically working through it. I was like, once she gets over the shock, she's going to put on her socks and shoes like a normal person, and she's going to get on that bus, and then she'll know that I was right. Case closed, right? Wrong. I was totally wrong about the conclusion of this. She actually could not resolve the fact that she woke up like 2-3 hours past her target, and she made the decision that she was just going to not go to Germany. And so later I see her and I'm like, wait, why didn't you go to Germany? She's like, because I told you, like, I need like 3 or 4 hours to get ready for the airport. And I was like, oh. And it was kind of just like, maybe just, I think it was just me and her. Maybe a couple other people, maybe not. They definitely weren't saying anything if they were. And I was like, so here's the thing about that. I was dead sure that I was right, so I went about this experiment where I'm literally admitting to her that, like, I changed your alarm clock to try and prove my point, that if you were faced with only an hour, you would definitely just get ready like a regular person and you would go. And I said, I guess I lost that assumption and I was 100% wrong. So I admitted defeat. But she was now so mad that I did the thing because now I'm the reason why she's not in Germany all dolled up with her friends and da 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 da, right? In her mind. And so what does she do? Naturally, she goes to the big boss, you know, the whatever his title was, Mr. Heath, residential boss. And she explains, you know, what I did, that I snuck into her room at night and changed her alarm so that she wouldn't have enough time to get ready for the airport. So then he comes and finds me and tells me, and I said, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. You know, I'm playing it off, I'm lying. I'm like, are we sure she didn't just fumble the alarm clock? And she's like, she sounded pretty upset, like pretty serious that, like, you told her that you changed it. And I was like, huh. I was like, well, let's break this down logistically. I was like, first of all, like, I'd have to have a key. So, you know, I guess in this scenario, one of the girls would have to give me her key, right? And so I was like, so the other thing is, if I went into a girl's dorm at night when everyone's supposed to be in the house, and I had to get to the 3rd floor, and there's like a dozen girls that live there. One of them must have seen or heard me come in because I had to get up there and then get out. And I said, so have you asked any of the girls if they, like, helped me in with a key or, like, if they saw me? And he was like, I have not done that yet, but I plan to. And I was like, okay. I was like, it can really only be two things. He, like, you know, either I did this or, like, you know, she's making something up. And so he goes and he interviews every single one of the girls. And every single one of them was like, no, there was no boys in the house. What are you talking about? And, like, no, this is my key right here. I don't give my key to boys. You know, dead serious, I'm sure. I mean, I wasn't there for the conversation, but he comes back and he says, yeah, you're fine. Every single one of the girls said no one came in and no one gave up their keys. So, you know, if you don't leave a trace, you don't leave a trace. It doesn't actually really matter if you admit to it or not. You didn't leave a trace.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's a stealth story. We got the stealth.
Hey, can you hear me, Sean?
You're a little distorted, but yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was going to say, more evidence of your
Right.
rogue qualities.
Right. And I think that was really, like, the first time that I actually tried to do anything sneaky. Like, literally first attempt. It was, like, not even a problem. Like, if it was something different, like if I had to invent a machine to do it, like to hack it, there's a 0% chance that would have happened. If I had to, like, fight a bunch of dudes to get in there, there's no way that would have happened. Like, there was only one way for me to do it. What came naturally was the stealth. But again, you know, at the beginning of the talk, I was talking about the foolishness of, you know, Rory having to go into the dungeon to prove a point. And similar to Rory, his like ironclad assumption was dead ass 100% wrong, and so was mine. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Great point.
we're all just humans, and we're all kind of not going through all the same things, but there is enough crossover to where you can see it, like that it's all kind of like prepackaged things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, Chili says, so the pattern here. I don't know if there's more to that comment or if it's just a statement on its own. Oh, is if you think you have to go into the dungeon, you're likely wrong. Yeah. The pattern is, yeah, if you have to go into the dungeon to prove that you're right, you're probably not. Because, yeah, when Beowulf went into the dungeon with Grendel, he was pretty dead ass wrong as well. But we all have a little bit of Viking in us, so.
Very true.
Yeah, he says if you think you have to go into the dungeon, you're likely wrong. This is the pattern that's being established. I was totally free to sit on the outside and just think, wow, well, that's kind of a dumb strategy to wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport. I could have just done that. It would have been way easier. And I really did not want to, you know, cause the damage of her missing the trip. That like, you know, like the Final Fantasy villain that's like such devastation. This was not my intention, you know. So sometimes, you know, you find yourself, and I think about that because I was like, I was for sure the bad guy in that scenario, but like I painted it out for you step by step. It's like that was not my intention, but it's like had I been caught, not only would I have been the bad guy, but I would have been the bad guy for something like I wasn't even trying to do, right? It would have been like straight to 11. But also like even though I didn't get caught, and Tess knew like it was just about the prank and proving that I was right, it's like in her mind it was also about me preventing her from going on the trip, which is also not right. It's a little bit better than like an adult catching you, but it's still worse than like the real story. So then I started to think, how many like villain stories are actually like that, where like they were actually just trying to like maybe just prove a point, maybe just like do a prank, and then like it actually just like spirals out into like, you know, 10 different things. I'm not saying that's the case every time, but I was like, if it happened to me, it's for sure must have happened to like many other people. Where like you're like, I'm just trying to prove a point logically, and now you look like some kind of mustache twirling villain, um, because of all the stuff that happens in between.
Yeah.
So
You're absolutely right. Yep. The miscommunication is real.
yeah. So right now we're just kind of helping some people out. I'm waiting for my concentrate to finish. 14 more minutes, which is also what I have left on my stream. Probably time for just one more story. They've all kind of been perfectly timed around 15 minutes. As it goes. Which kind of works. Like it's like a decent length for a story. We want to min-max it. Like I'm always kind of like refining it, where I'm like, I want to have all the details so that you get the full picture without like over, like I don't want to like dwell on anything too much. Like get the pacing right. I want to get the pacing right.
Yeah.
So, but practicing the like the oral version will help with the writing process, which is so much more difficult. What else do we have? We might as well end on a banger. We've got a story called Chili says, I remember a story that involved making stealth checks. Yeah, so I'm going to end on a banger tonight. It's been really fun telling stories and having conversation with everybody. I've enjoyed the picnic, and I've enjoyed passively getting XP while we're having the picnic. We're going to end on the Sticky Bandits versus the Shotgun. So, like many of the stories start, once upon a time, I had this notorious apartment, and I was having some kind of big get-together, and there was this one girl that was at the party that I did not know, that was friends with another girl that I did know. So we have, at least particularly, the story revolves around this one unidentified girl. And in the middle of the night, sort of around that critical mass time that I was talking about earlier, there's a knock at the door, a random encounter, and I always kept my door locked because it was just sort of the safest thing to do. And I go up to the door, and I look through the peephole, and I see two middle-aged men that appear to look like the Sticky Bandits from Home Alone. I mean, they're wearing like long, dirty coats, scruffy beards, you know, the old, worn-out beanie, and like, you know, the big bags under the eyes, and so they just kind of look hard, you know, sort of like people you might see like in the background of like a Law and Order episode in New York City, right? And I say, "What do you want?" And these two individuals say, "We're looking for so and so." I don't even remember her name because I only saw her that one night. Never saw her again. And I'm like, "Oh, well, that's weird." And so I go around the corner and I'm like, "So who's so and so, the girl?" And she presents herself. And I say to her, I say, "There's two guys that are asking for you at the door." I said, "I'd like you to look through the peephole, but not open the door until, you know, it's good." So she comes with me to the kitchen, and she looks through the peephole, and I'll never forget the look on her face. When she turned back around, it was like she saw a ghost. She didn't say anything, but she looked mortified. Very serious, very stricken. And I'm like, well, like I have to coax words out of her. Like almost like she thought she was speaking, but she wasn't. Or she was just in a daze. And I said, well, like, who is it? And she looks me dead in the eyes with this like piercing gaze and says, "I have never seen those men before in my life." So, you know, if it was just a girl that was goofing off trying to, you know, dodge her family or something, it wouldn't have been that persuasive for me. I was kind of looking out for it, but like it was just about the most serious expression I've ever heard in my life. Like she was terrified. These people looked like hard criminals. And she said, "I've never seen them before in my life." So I didn't skip a beat. I turned back around to the door, got real close to the door, and I said, "Sorry guys, she doesn't know who you are. You have to go." And they didn't skip a beat either. They immediately followed up with, "Oh no, that's okay. We'll just break the door down." Very nonchalant, not scared, like barely even inconvenienced. Sort of in the same way that like if someone was carrying something heavy, you might just say, "Oh no, that's okay. I'll just hold the door for you." Right? Like not a problem.
Yeah.
That's how they said it. And that kind of made me scared that of the way that they were not frustrated or stressed. They were just like kind of like taking care of business, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as soon as I get this feeling, I go into like defense mode. And like I said earlier, like my biggest defense is my mouth. And so I just say to him, I'm like, "Actually, guys, you're right. I'm going to let you in." You know, and my tagline that I always used when I wanted to buy time was, "Let me just put on some pants." And I was like, "And I'll let you in and you'll be on your way." And they're like, "Okay." And so I go into my room and I go into the closet and I pick up my uncle's 12 gauge, Mossberg 590. And I go back into the kitchen and They said, "All right, open up, or like we're gonna break this." Now they've lost their patience in like 5 seconds. They're like, "We're gonna break the door down," and I get as close as I can to the kitchen door, and I rack the shotgun. And if you ever heard a 12 gauge getting racked, it is a very distinct, very clear, very loud sound. The shunk shunk, you know. And as soon as I made that sound, I said, "All right, I'm ready for you to break the door down." They responded with a, "Oh, fuck." And I just hear both of them scampering down the stairs. I was on the second floor. So they're scampering down the stairs in the hallway. They open up the front door, they slam it closed, and they're just they do a burnout in their car and they get out of there. So then I find out, I'm like, "So what the fuck was that?" Now that that's over with, I've got questions. So I go up to the unidentified girl that's kind of the subject of the story here, and I'm like, "Who are you again? Like, who did you come with? Why did that happen?" I'm like bombarding her with questions. And I surmise, whether it was from her friend or from her, that she was some sort of person of interest. She was some, like, I think she was either it was like the governor's daughter or the senator's daughter or something like that. She was from the Putney private school, something like this. And I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. That's why these people seemed like professional, hardened criminals. Like, physically, they appeared like the Sticky Bandits. They were very, like, kind of like that nonchalant attitude of like John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson's characters in Pulp Fiction, where they're just going about their day to day." And so I'm like, wow, there was actually a kidnapping attempt for a VIP at my party, and I fully deflected it through persuasion and intimidation and a little bit of deception. But so, like I said, I have deflected every sort of life or death type duel with trickery. I'm being honest when I say every attempt against me that has ever failed, it never came to blows, not even once.
Beautiful. And with that, I am gonna let you run, my brother, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
Thanks. Hey, thanks for popping in. I had a blast. Dude.
Me too.
And
Me too, bro.
I'll catch up with you later on this weekend. I gotta finish up this. Gotta finish up what I was doing here. Just put things in a safe position. I gotta head to bed. It's been a long day. So.
For sure, brother.
Yeah. Thanks for popping in.
All right. You got it, bro. Talk to you later.
All right. Peace. All right. For those still listening, I think I've reached the end here. I got 4 more minutes. So I'll hang out for 4 minutes and put more bars in here. Yeah, love that gun. Yeah, you know all about the shotgun invader stuff. You shared me your story, but yeah, if you're still listening, thanks for hanging out. It was definitely a little bit of a screwball kind of night, but this has been things that actually happened. These are stories that will appear in my book that I'm writing, and some stories that won't appear, but that's still to be determined. And coming up on the weekend, we're going to be working on upgrading our jungle settlement to tier 3. We got a bit more scholar work to do. We're also going to do the quest to upgrade our heart, and as well as do an upgrade party, which is where we all kind of get our resources together and help each other upgrade our gear and tools. If anybody listening plays Bitcraft and they want to, come in, get a little bit of help upgrading their stuff, you're welcome to do that. I'm not sure which day I'm going to do it, but I'll be around all weekend. So we're going to be upgrading gear. We're going to be upgrading heart. We're going to be upgrading the settlement. Number go up. And I'm probably going to do this again. I'm most likely not going to do it every night because it takes a lot of mental attention to tell stories while playing the game. So I kind of have to be doing more passive things like what I'm doing here. But because I had a really kind of long day at work, I didn't want to do anything too engaging with the game because I was probably going to do it very slowly and, it was going to hurt my brain a little bit. But we'll be back at it tomorrow. So anytime I'm doing some of this more slow content, I'm going to share stories from the Things That Actually Happened book, which is, can't remember if it was 100 or 101 short stories, things that actually happened, true and real, no embellishments, just gonzo journalism. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, if you enjoy Bitcraft or you just enjoy the short stories, drop me a follow. And you can get some more of that sort of content. We got 50 seconds left on our bars. 41. Can we help someone for a second? Just helps. That guy's still in that 67K craft. If you have any questions about any of the stories, questions, comments about Bitcraft, anything, feel free to drop it in the chat. We still have a couple minutes until I'm ready to get out of here. What do we got? 9 seconds to swap. Just gonna go ahead and swap these out. I might not have enough stuff to fill up all of them, but I'll just fill up what I've got. Crazy part is this isn't even going to be that much money. I don't think mining bars is a particularly good money making method. It's just easy to AFK. I should be able to do one more, right? Why is this not opening? 2 minutes on that one. 2 minutes, really? 47. Okay. We're almost there. Coming to the end of the stream, like I said. Just gonna swap out a few more bars. We'll be back with some more exciting Bitcraftery tomorrow, and whenever I feel like doing some more passive crafting, I'll bust out the storybook again. Help this guy for a few seconds. $67K, what a beast. This one should be done. Alright, that's it for concentrate. And we should be able to pull 2 more batches out here. Right here. Sweet. That does me. We made 50 ingots as well as 60 more moltens, plus, I don't know, probably another 50 in the smelter, whatever that may be. I mean, there's probably some when I got here, but yeah, so in 3 hours you can make a little over 100 bars. It's not that great of money. I would not advise this as a decent money-making guy, but it was super chill, and it did give me an opportunity to rest and practice my storytelling, so I appreciate it for that. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. It's a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a good evening.